So what this addendum does is it addresses this part of the third-party financing addendum, which is property approval, which talks about, this is the out for your buyers if their property does not appraise. So it basically says that, if the lender determines that the property does not satisfy the underwriter's requirements, one of those things being the appraisal, then the buyers can terminate, or obviously have the option to renegotiate, which we're all should be very familiar with this paragraph. So, box 1. Checking this box completely waives property approval, meaning that no matter what the property appraises for, your buyers have no grounds for termination or renegotiation of the contract.
Perfect.
So, if you're a listing agent, obviously that's what you want. You want to get this back with box 1. It's probably rarely going to happen, and I don't foresee you guys using box 1 a whole lot, but it's pretty straightforward. When you check that box, you're saying that we're going to cover the difference between the contracted and appraisal price no matter what it is. I guess if you are
They just really want it.
They just really want it, and you've done the comps and everybody's feeling really confident about where the appraisal would come in.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would definitely, give your buyers all the information before having them check this box. Box 2, this is what you're gonna probably use most often because this is what helps bridge the gap between the contract and appraisal price. So this is the box that tells the sellers how much the buyers are willing to bring in the difference between the contracted price and the appraised price. So buyer waives the buyer's right to terminate the contract under paragraph 2B of the third-party financing addendum if the property approval is not attained because the opinion of the value in the appraisal doesn't satisfy the lender's underwriting requirements. And so this is saying you're waiving the right to terminate if it doesn't meet the appraisal, and there's a caveat to that, the opinion value is blank or more. So,
This is the part I freaked out about.
right, so you say, well, what price do I put there? So here's an example. So there are multiple offers on a property listed for $350. And you advise your buyers to offer $365 and cover 10% of the difference between, and you're gonna have these slides, between the contract and appraisal price where it comes in, if it were to come in short. So does everybody kind of understand that scenario? There's a house listed at $350. You're telling your buyers, hey, we got multiple offers. I think we should go $365. Your buyer, how much can you guys cover in the difference between contract or appraised price? Your buyers say, we can cover 10 grand and we want it that bad. So you say, okay, so you come in here and you would put $355. So you basically take whatever your buyers are willing to cover, subtract that from your contracted price, and that's the price you're saying. As long as it approves for this amount or more, we're still in the game. If it appraises for less than that, then we would have the option to renegotiate or terminate. Okay. So if this property appraised at $350, you're only guaranteeing them that you would do it at $355.
Got it.
Make sense?
Does.
Okay, so you're saying that it has to appraise for at least $355 or more.
For you to
If it appraises at $355, your buyers are gonna bring that 10 grand and they're promising we're gonna move forward. If it appraises for less than that,
Then you renegotiate.
then you renegotiate or, yeah. Box 3, you're probably gonna use even less than box 1. This is to cover a buyer putting down a large down payment that doesn't wanna pay too much for a property were the appraisal to come in drastically short and the lender's underwriter could still approve because their down payment is so big. Okay, so, my, off the cuff example here would be like, okay, you've got, a really unique property and, somebody really wants it. There's not a lot of comps out there and they've got a lot of money to put down, say it's $1 million property and they're gonna put down 500 grand. So if the property, and they're gonna get a loan for the rest. So if it appraises at $850, there's a chance that the lender still approves it because they've put so much money down in the first place. Mm-hmm. But your buyer doesn't want to get slided and, pay too much for a property when it's not worth, what you contracted because maybe there aren't a lot of comps out there. It's kind of, unknown what the appraiser will come back with. This lets you set, first of all, it makes you designate an amount of days. So what I would do in a situation like this is, add, go through your option days and then add however many days your lender can tell you they can get the appraisal back by. So said, you definitely want to nail down your lender and say, how many days will it, can you guarantee the appraisal? And add that to the option days, and that's how many days you would put in the blank. So if you had a 7-day option and your lender says, our appraisal is due back in 10 days, then you could say like 18 days here or something like that.
Okay.
And then it gives you like a ceiling amount, basically, or a floor amount, I guess you would say, that you could put here, saying like, as long as the property appraises for at least $850,000, we're still in the game. And, that would probably mean your people maybe bringing a little more money, or maybe they just shifted the loan amount and they just lended, they borrowed more because they're putting such a large down payment down, they probably still have that bandwidth to borrow.
When you say large down payment, I'm sure there's not like a specific amount, but like, what are you thinking, like a 30% or something
Yeah,
like that?
something
or
more than 20.
Yeah, okay.
So, 20 is, that's where your lender's that's where the underwriters are typically gonna start to not approve things,
Okay,
is when your loan to value gets skewed from 80-20.
okay.
And
That makes
that could
sense.
depend on the borrowers too, but I think this is in a case where they're putting down more than 20% is when I would use this. It depends.
On your buyer, I guess?
If you don't use this, they have the out based on the third-party financing
Right.
addendum. So, there's, the listing agent's really wanting you to use either box 1 or 2.
Right.
But your buyer might not be willing to just go all in
Yeah.
and say, we'll bring whatever cash necessary.
Yeah.
Right.
They-
We'll probably use box 2.
You probably want to use box 2 and set some type of limit on what it is they're willing to cover. And most listing agents should be hip to this if they're understanding it correctly. So, which brings us to our next
So
point.
what is the problem that a lot of people have with this?
I think they're just, don't know what it's tying their seller into.
Yeah, so, and she's got this language here that one of the things that we're trying to set up for you guys is like, and we've done this before, is that when we send an offer for a multiple offer situation, we want it to be known as the easiest people to deal with, right? And part of that is educating the other agent. So we have written, it's actually Sunny's written this to kind of let them know that like, okay, we're gonna have the lowest option period, we're gonna have the highest option amount, we're gonna have the best lender, we're gonna be able to bridge the gap between contract price and appraisal price by X amount, and then this is how you can explain this to your seller as
This
long
is how you explain this document, because like Isabel told me that she was in a multiple offer situation the other day. They came in with a high offer and attached this saying that they would cover part of the appraisal amount, and the listing agent turned down their offer because they didn't understand
they
the
didn't know
document.
what it was.
Which you're like, what?
Yeah.
But, so it obviously needs to be presented, but we wanted to have some language for you guys to use
Yeah.
that was approved. And, the attorneys wouldn't officially bless this, but Ryan as our broker is, so that's good enough. In reviewing our offer, please note that we have included the addendum concerning the right to terminate due to lender's appraisal. We selected box 2, and in box 2 included the price of, and again, these prices will change based on what you put in there. $385. Since we are offering $390, what this means is that we're promising that as long as the appraisal comes in at $385 or higher, the buyers are willing to cover the difference in the appraisal, so up to $5,000. If the appraisal comes in lower than $385, they will have the option to negotiate with the seller or terminate.
I love this.
So
because it goes with
you can
making
literally
it easy.
copy, I'm gonna put this in Workplace, you can copy and paste this, put in your own numbers,
Yeah.
and use this in your offer presentation to listing agents.
Yeah, and just remember, it's not enough to write a strong offer,
You gotta
right?
educate the.
You've got to present the offer in a way that they'll be able to understand and package it to their seller.